Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Oh, such a warm reception. So, thank you all for joining us both here in person and online. We'd like to welcome you this evening to a panel that we have called Millennials and Seniors Bridging the Gap. Okay, so firstly, before we start, I'd just like to introduce our panelists. My name is Jonathan, but we're not here for me. We're here for these four lovely young people here who took their time to speak to you this evening. Yes, that's right, very much. We will start to my left. To my extreme left, he is a graduate of St. John's University, and he currently works in medical accounting. Let's give a warm welcome to brother. To my left, the daughter of our senior pastor and our first lady. She is a graduate of Syracuse University. Well, we got a lot of orange in the house. I love the enthusiasm. She's currently a physician billing representative. Please give a warm welcome to Miss Natanya Lewis. To my extreme right, she is a former worker of the U.S. Postal Service. She has been married for 48 years. We definitely want to know what is in your house. Please give a warm welcome to Sister Naomi Smith. And last but certainly not least, by the way, this gentleman here, he is my motivation for when I, bless God, if I can get to this age, I'll be as cool and as smooth as this man right here. He is now a retired employee of the New York Transit Authority and a graduate of Queensborough College. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Millennial. All right, so again, the topic here is talking about bridging the gap between seniors and millennials. So we just wanted to kick off the conversation first by talking about each other. So this is a question for both the millennials to my left and the seasoned, not seniors, I'm not going to call you seniors, our seasoned veterans to my right. We're going to ask, how do you feel about each other is the first part of the question. And the second part of the question is, what do you feel is the biggest difference between the two of you, not counting age? Who wants to take that? The season, well, ladies first, I'm sorry, my brother, ladies first says my brother, so.
Well, the biggest difference I find with the seniors and the millennials, they count, well, they put an emphasis on electronic devices, and they put an emphasis on just social media, and they're not as physical as when I was growing up. If you told me I had to stay in the house as a young person, that was punishment. Because I wanted to be out and about, I wanted to be playing, I wanted to be having a good time. And if you went on a date, you made sure you had a quarter. I'm not trying to date myself, but you know, you need 10 cents. But you had your 10 cents, and if things didn't go right, you would find you a telephone booth out there in the street somewhere to call home, and somebody would be waiting for you. But that's one of the biggest changes I've seen.
Well, wait, the second part of the question is, what do you think about the millennials? Nice now.
I think they know more than we do. smarter than we are, and that they've experienced everything and we don't know anything that's going on. That we don't have the same emotions. We don't think about being sneaky. So they think we don't know all the tricks. But other than that, I think they're wonderful.
Ditto. Well, listen. The first part of the question is, what do you think about millennials? And then the second part. I can't say anything bad because I raised 2 millennials.
Okay, Dad.
So if they weren't here, I'd probably be here. But having raised 2 millennials, the only thing, well, there's a lot of things I can say, but the word that comes to me quickly is privilege.
Yeah.
And my wife and I are kind of unique because we weren't raised by our mother and father. We were raised by that other generation, grandma and grandpa. So our frame of reference is a little different. All I know is Hellman's mayonnaise, Wonder Bread, Scott Towel, you know what I mean? All this other stuff, I have no clue what it is. So, trying to raise them, I mean, I see, when it's bad. When you see them, see yourself coming out in them, it's like, oh, this is gonna be rough. And when they bring it back to you, you can only sit there like, the way I raised them, what am I gonna do? But the word privilege comes to mind because, you know, I think about I see a lot of kids and what they're not going to do, what they ain't going to do. We didn't have that option. You sit down, this is what you're going to do. It's either this or that. That's it. And what comes to my mind is when I was 18 years old, I had 4 choices. Go to college, go to work, go into the service, keep your pastor, or get the hell out of here. Those were your options. These kids have so many, I mean, everything's like the touch of a button. We don't have that. I mean, we didn't have that. But I don't fault them for that. That's the way the world is now. But I just think of the word privilege.
All right, millennials, your time to return. The first part of the question again is how you feel about seniors, and then what do you feel is the biggest difference between seniors and millennials?
Okay, so I feel like the biggest problem with seniors is that they're not understanding. I feel like right now we're in a generation where everything is fast moving. It's like microwave, when everything is fast, like boom, boom, boom. So I feel like with a lot of older people, they have problems, like I guess adjusting, or they don't want to change, or they're stuck in like their specific way. So that's the issue. And then what's the second part?
Just how do you feel about them in general? And if you answer that, what's the biggest difference between the two?
I would just say the main thing is just understanding. I mean, I've been in church like all my life, so I've been around like seniors and like wisdom, so I don't really see it as a bad thing. I don't really have like grandparents, so like I see you guys as like someone to look up to. So I've never seen it as, oh, they need to change this or anything. Like if anything, like it's something that I would embrace. So that's kind of how I feel about it.
So the first question I probably want to address would be, what do I think about them, or what the biggest difference? So I'd probably say what I think about them is they're great people to get wisdom and insight on, because I know the word of the Lord says there's nothing new underneath the sun. So like I always see now that a lot of things and a lot of things going on in the world, a lot of issues, a lot of these things are very repetitive. So a lot of times, sometimes the millennials, young people think that they're not understanding. Meanwhile, they're just trying to maybe safeguard us or prevent us from going through the same mistakes or going through the same patterns that they might have gone through, which sometimes my generation could be hard-headed because that is a big sentiment that I hear, is that we think we know everything and that we think we're smarter because like we got all the technology and all these things like that. So, but the biggest difference I'd say between the millennials and the seasoned saints would be the millennials are soft nowadays. Like the seasons have a little more backbone, willing to get out there. I mean, the millennials live in this PC culture. Everybody's so emotional. Everything offends everybody. You know what I mean? Like when I speak to some of the older ones, they get, they're just a lot more rigid and have tougher skin. So it's like all these kids and even young adults are getting coddled. I've seen crying spaces in college campuses, which is like, I don't even understand that. Yeah, crying spaces. So like, I give the seasoned saints props because they got a lot more backbone than like my generation has right now.
By the way, I like the term seasoned saints, so that's what I'm gonna use here going forward. And with that, we're going to transition into, where we are, which is in a church. So I just wanted to hear everyone's general views on religion and how it's currently being delivered. As we all know, obviously there are virtual spaces now for people to, and I'll use air quotes here, attend church. So I just wanted to hear everybody's thoughts on that. Millennials, did you want to start or did you want to give to the seasoned saints?
To piggyback off what I was just going on would be from my generation, they're very soft with their own beliefs, and I think they're not too sure what they even believe. And this is even a very big conception with even in Christianity, because the worldly influence with technology and all this access to everything, they're rubbing in and mixing in certain other ideologies from other religions and things like that, and they're too scared to speak up and be bold for Christ in fear of offending another person from a different religion. So that's like one thing that I feel like my generation seems to need to get a little bit more bold in their faith and their beliefs. Because, they're willing to get bold and show everything and everything on the Instagram and online. But nobody really wants to stand up, when it comes to faith because they feel like it's such like a hot topic issue or whatever. But like, for me, I'll give it up how it is, it's the Lord or nothing. And a lot of people also, it's quick to say God, but I like to make it very firm and straight. The Lord Jesus Christ is my Holy Savior.
I agree with everything you said. What I would say is also a lot of hypocrisy nowadays. I feel like a lot of people, they say they believe or they say one thing and they do another. So they'll say they have the love of Christ, but then they go back behind your back and judge. So I think that's a huge issue. And then the other problem is that like people don't want to address it. So they'll just kind of like, it's like an elephant in the room. Like, you know the commandments and you know what you're supposed to know what you're not supposed to do, but people still do it, and then like take communion, and then people are judging Christians or whatever other religion. So I feel like, I don't know, people just need to become, I guess, like self-aware, but also just like, I guess, learning more about who you are and just being able to establish what your faith is. Like, kind of
Seasoned saints?
A lot of millennials have never been to a church. They don't know anything about Christ. Because I think the generation after before the millennials, they didn't push to take their children to church. Now, I'm of the baby boomer generation. The baby boomer generation, your parents, they took you to church or they sent you to church. Then the 60s came In the 60s, between the 60s and the 70s, then it started all the free love. And I remember distinctly, we as a people, we started doing much better economically in the late 60s. Because a lot of the laws had passed so that we weren't discriminated as much as we were before that time. So when all that free love, all that free this, that, and the other, no one is to look down on you because of what you believe, how you worship, how you do this, how you do the other. So we have a generation of young people that don't know anything about Jesus Christ. So a lot of them, when they went into college, and then we go into the 70s, we have these cults coming in. Like, and I'll give you an example, like the Hare Krishnas. And then you had other false religions. I believe it was the Children of God. And so the cults came in, and they twisted all these people's minds, and they twisted their beliefs, and so they just didn't know the true religion, the truth that the only way that you can really have peace is to know Jesus Christ as your personal Savior. And because of that, you have all this mess going on and on and on and on and on. And so there came all that confusion. And am I making sense to you about, because I lived through all that. I lived through the 60s, the end of the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and then you had, different lifestyles were being accepted. Homosexuality was prevalent, and everybody was coming out the closet. It just was like a mess. And it really affected us. It affected us. Because then we had all these children born out of wedlock. And not knowing anything about being in the church.
Well, from when I was a child up until, I guess, late 40s, church was kind of confusing for me because I went to an Episcopalian school, so that was an Episcopalian church. My grandmother was a Baptist. My other grandmother was a Catholic. When we got married, we attended a Presbyterian church. We got married in a Methodist church. And then we came to Friendship Baptist Church. So I can truly say I'm finally getting a handle on this whole church thing. So the different religions, especially like Episcopalian, is, I don't know, maybe the pastor can say this too, is maybe like the closest to Catholic as you're going to get for a Protestant religion. With the incense and the way they pray, it's very quiet. And I was very confused because the first time I walked into a Baptist church, I was scared to death. I thought I had the wrong shoes on because I saw everybody patting their feet and clapping their hands and running around the church. I told my grandmother, I got to go. I can't stay. But it wasn't until even the Presbyterian church, I got a better handle on the religion. But when I came here, and this is a teaching church, I'm starting to get a better handle of what religion is. Now, we try to teach our children, my wife, well basically my wife, we're trying to teach my children basic religion because I was just all over the place. I could just barely teach them how to spell religion. So I thank God for her keeping them grounded and keeping them, on the straight and narrow.
No, that's a perfect segue into the next question, which is, clearly with the last couple of questions, we've heard some differences in views and opinions, but since we're on the religion topic, how do you feel that both seniors and millennials can be ministered to in the same space? So you gotta give you an easy one, man.
Well, first of all, they're all going to have an open mind. Don't come in with any preconceived notions. Just come in and be willing to learn. Listen and learn. Your frame of reference is different from mine, but we all have to just put that in the back and just have the mind open to accept, what's being ministered to you. Take it in, take what you want out of it, and learn from there. Because all of it's not going to be for you. I've learned that, all of it's not going to be for you. Take what interests you. Don't judge anybody because they don't think the same way as you, or they don't believe the same thing that you do. You just try to piggyback or take some knowledge from everybody that you talk to. If you don't learn something every day, you got a lost day. So if you come here and listen, to be open and honest. I don't come to Bible studies often last year, but if I came in these last 3 Wednesdays and it wasn't Bible study, I'm going to be here from now on. Okay. So if you can do that, if you can just open up your mind just a little bit, take in a little bit of something from everybody, get your ministering, and just take it in. And let's let it help you do what you do.
Okay. All right.
Oh, it's back to me again. But I'm going to piggyback on what he said because what he said is so true. You have to have an open mind and you have to be receptive. And I think it's very important that as we come together, that we come with an open mind that we want to learn. If you just come in here to pass the time of day, and it's not going to, and the other thing you want us to do a change in you. I don't want to be the same Naomi that I was yesterday. Every day, I want to learn something new. I want to be excited. Because sometimes when I hear Pastor Lewis preach, I'll take my Bible and I'll go back during the week and I'll read the whole thing over because I'm so excited. Oh, that blessed me. Oh, and one time I get on the phone, some people say the telephone, but I get on the phone and I'll pass it on to one of my sisters or one of my friends and tell them, I heard this, I heard that, and it blessed me. And I want to share it with you. Because sometimes you hear a word, and that word just blesses you. And you just get excited and you want to tell somebody else. Because, like you said, you take what's for you. But sometimes there's a little bit more that you're taking and you sharing it with somebody else.
Sure. Is how can seniors and millennials be ministered to in the same space?
I would say that one thing that seniors and millennials both have in common is music. I would say that everyone relates to music. Whether it was from a couple Sundays ago support Sunday?
Season Saints Day?
Yeah, when the middle choir was doing that song. Everyone was interactive and everyone felt good. It was a great time. So I feel like music is really important. It also opens you up. I feel like when you're listening to music, whether it's like jazz or R&B or gospel or whatever, it's something that connects everyone, no matter what it is. So I feel like just being more open.
So I feel like the best common ground or a space where the seasoned saints and the millennial saints and these younger generations can be ministered to in the same location, the same space, is you have to be in a ministry that's founded and grounded in the Word of God. Because there's so many times where, like, for me, I grew up as Roman Catholic for many of my years in life. And then just through studying the Word of God and being in the teaching ministry, and if you're being faithful to the Word of God, sometimes you have to really question, like, is this true, or is this supposed to how it's supposed to be? Because before I came here, I was like, Brother Can't. I said, well, what's so wrong with all this hollering and running around? And wait, why she got a sheet over her? She good? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know what was going on over here. You know what I mean? So, I feel like the most common ground is staying true to the Word of God, because coming from, let's say, maybe Roman Catholic or another religion or a different, a sect of Christianity, this is what I'm teaching the kids in children's ministry, because they have so much awesome questions, and some of these are like deep questions. Like, I gotta be on my guard and here for even the younger kids, younger than me. One of my starting points is it in the Word of God, and tell me where. Because a lot of people have all these beliefs and things like that, but they're not even founded in the Word of God. They're founded in tradition. And then what happens is, if you get raised for so long and then come to find out that it's not even true, it kind of hurts sometimes. Like, you feel like you've been lied to. So I feel like the starting point should always be grounded in the Word of God. Because if you start there, it don't matter what age you are. And as far as like the actual church, I believe God is sovereign, and He has a church for every believer, and He places them in the church that He wants them, He desires them to be in for any amount of season. And I'm just glad I was placed here.
Okay, so we're going to take a brief break from questions, and before we started here, we passed around some index cards to the studio audience here. Oh, you didn't? Oh, okay. Never mind. Okay, so I'm going to continue asking questions then. So I want to circle back to something that I believe one of our senior saints said earlier, which was, society is very fast-paced now. The thought of seasoned saints is that our millennials move a little bit quickly and that they know everything. So my question that I'll start to the seasoned saints is, how do you balance a lifestyle that society has shaped to be so fast-paced?
Okay. Well, let's see. Let me see. First of all, I have a lot of conversations because I am a grandmother. I have adult children. My youngest is 40. I have a grandson that's 28. And I have some other grandchildren that, they're like stepladders. And so I speak to them. And I get an idea of what they're thinking, how they think. And a lot of the things that they think are right, I think is wrong. So, because the society has told them, you can do this and you can do that. So how I do it, I point to you know, what the Bible says. And how I live my life. Because sometimes you have to use yourself as an example. Because they think they can't do it. But with the help of God, you can do it. You don't have to be caught up in a habit. And a lot of things that our young people do, they start it and they make it a habit. But if you ask God to help you, you don't have to form that habit. Am I making, you know, I'm trying, because I know what worked for me. I didn't have to follow the crowd. I didn't have to do what they did. Because I believed that God was watching me and I wanted to please Him. And if you want to live a life that's pleasing to God, He'll show you the way. You don't have to second guess. Oh, I'll lose friends because of this. Yeah, you might have to lose some of them friends, but God will give you better friends. So you just try to, you know, bring that into the conversation and let them know that God will never leave you, nor will He forsake you. And I believe that with all my heart, because I had my grandson, I'm going to give you an example. My grandson had said when he was into the service that he didn't believe in God. And that thing hurt me to my heart. Here, he was the leader of the atheists in the Marines. And I'm saying to myself, now this boy, I done brought him up in church, I done brought him. A lot of the saints knew him when he was coming up. I'd have them singing song in vacation Bible school, and he's gonna talk this talk. So when he got out of service, and he didn't have to go to Iraq, he didn't have to go to Afghanistan, and he didn't have to do a whole lot of stuff, I told him it was our prayers that God kept you. Because I kept your picture on Psalm 91 and I prayed for you daily. And God brought you home. And they had you know how they took lots. And there was only 10 people who were going to go on a ship and the rest were going to go to Afghanistan. And he was number 10 that didn't go to Afghanistan. And I said, God brought you and kept you.
Okay, so the question again was, how do you balance a lifestyle that society has shaped to be so fast-paced? Let's just slow down.
I mean, because basically I'm leading two lives. I have a work life and I have a retired life. The work life, it was non-stop. You work a full day, you come home, you interact with your family, you go to bed, you get back up and you do the same thing all day. And you have to find somewhere to slow yourself down. Because if you start getting ahead of yourself, when you look back, you won't see anything. You're not supposed to, if you look back, you're not supposed to see anything back in anything. Because you're not going that way. So you have to just slow yourself down. Now this fast pace, the computers and telephones, I mean, I find myself looking at my phone a lot. But at night, turn it off, watch a little TV, that's it, I'm done. But I've always found, like with kids, talk to them and not at them. And listen to them. Just listen to them. And they come up with some stuff, and you just, because I used to deal with a lot of kids when I was working, because I drove the bus. I dealt with a lot of school kids. And I mean, the kids were rowdy, they would tear up the bus, and you know. So every now and then, you know, that alter ego would have to come out. But I found that when I talked to them, I had a lot more of them around me talking to me. And just getting ideas. What do you want to do with your life? You know, talking about their parents. And that was a way of slowing me down too. Because I'm listening to them. I'm driving, but I'm listening to them. And they're focused on what they're talking about. They're not tearing up the bus. They're not jumping out windows. And, you know, they're just calm and cool and collected. You know what I mean? Because I talk to them. And I'm listening to them. And they used to like them, oh, there go Mr. Kevin, oh, we gonna take his butt. And I'm like, oh, man. But I'm saying, okay, cool, come on, let's go. And what I used to try to impress upon them, I used to try to instill a little fear in them. I said, you know, in the afternoon, your mother and father's gonna be riding this bus. And I didn't know their mother and father. But just telling them, a little light went off in their head. He just might know my mom and dad, you know what I mean? But just, you know, just find just a little quiet place and just calm yourself down. Let's let the world spin around you for a little while. That's all.
You don't have to be bashful.
One more time, for me and the audience. Question. John.
The question: how do you balance a lifestyle that society has shaped to be fast-paced?
How do I balance it? I gotta compartmentalize it. So, you know, you have to take advantage of what's available. So, if we know we have all these super smart gadgets and all this technology, you should actually take advantage of it for your benefit. Don't let the technology control you. You control the technology. So you should actually, like, for instance, for me, I'll use an alarm clock or a timer, so that way I know if I've been on something way too long. And now some people don't know, probably some of my millennials who know this, you can actually look at your phones now and see how long you've been spending time on the device. Put a feature to stop you and not allow you to access certain things if you know it's becoming too much. Because honestly, the life right now, the way society shapes everything is so fast-paced, but at the same time, it consumes so much of your time. Like, I know my generation, like, literally, if a new show comes out on Netflix, we might just go through the whole season, like, one weekend, and next thing you know, you look up, like, oh, wow, like, it's Monday again. Like, because, you know, before, you would have to just wait weekly, that Monday night, that Tuesday night. Now, they giving us everything straight up front, so we're like, you know what, we're taking advantage of it. So, because everything is so accessible and so fast-paced, I think, like, we're like a little bit greedy. Like, we just like to consume and give you more, and instant gratification. I hear the sentiment about, you know, my generation a lot of time. We want it now, we want it quick, and, you know, just give me more and more and more of it. So, yeah, we do need to probably slow down. Like, we can't let the world and all this technology and all this accessibility control us. So we got to take advantage of it. My host says it up.
Okay, I think we are out of time, but I would like to thank all four of our panelists here this evening. And last but certainly not least, we'd like to thank all of you for taking the time out of your day to come and listen to our panelists. And I believe that is it. We are now going to give it over to our Deacon Joseph Bynum.
We thank God for your lives today. And did you guys enjoy the panel? So a quick prayer for all our viewers. Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord God, for the life of every individual, Lord God, that's viewing the streaming, Lord God, online. We pray, Lord God, that every millennial, every generation represented, Lord God, online may be blessed, that they may see that the church is doing something revolutionary, that we're bridging the gap between the two cultures,
Lord God, we just pray, Lord God, that you may continue to bless them and that, Lord God, you may bring them into a relationship with you. And Lord God, if you see it fit, Lord God, that you may bring them, Lord God, into a relationship with us. Lord God, we just pray that you may bless them and keep them. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
God bless you. Pastor Victor J. Lewis of the Friendship Baptist Church of Roslyn here to thank you so much for joining us for this worship and word experience. It is our prayer that you were blessed by the message. You can feel free to join us on Sundays at 12 p.m. or Wednesdays at 7:15 p.m. If you desire any information about our ministry, we invite you to go join us on FBCRoslyn.org.